So we're back on day 58, talking about what we have here the last couple days here under the weekly game, right? And under the weekly game, specifically the General's tent. Within the General's tent, the focus today is going to be on the setting the new targets, right? Now we've talked about earlier. We've talked about the returning reports, right? Did I do this? Did I not do this? Um, simple non-emotional factual information, right? We talked about the lessons learned, right? The lessons in all the areas, right? And the core forward and the one thing, the key forward and the stacks, right? And the last is the course correction, right? What have we done? What do we need to do to correct the things that maybe aren't going so well? Um, and without doing these and without doing these first, the setting new targets, it really is not going to have much point, right? If we aren't going to take into account what we've done last team, what is done, what isn't done, if we're not going to take into account the lessons that we've learned, right? If we're not going to expand, if we're not going to build on what we've done last week, there's no point in building more of the same, right? We need to actually take in the lessons we learned, and we need to apply them in setting our new targets. And once again, the course correction, right? We have to take uh, an analysis of what we need to do to change those items. So we're going to start this with the core four, right? So as we set new targets, we're going to set them in all four areas. We're going to set them in body, being, balance, and business. We've already done an analysis of what worked, what didn't. Um, did we do them? Did we not? And we're going to set the new goals, the new targets for the upcoming week, um, and incorporate the lessons that we've learned, that we've just reviewed in the general's tent, and we're going to incorporate the course corrections that we have deemed necessary to actually get ourselves back on track to the outcome of our challenge, right, or the benchmarks, more specifically, and inside the benchmarks on a weekly basis, right. Um, Also, we're going to take into account, and we're going to set new targets in all areas, like I mentioned earlier. Also within the stack, right? In particularly within the stack, it's important that we apply the lessons we've learned, right? Like in the bottom, it's important that we've taken the actions that we said we were going to take uh, in the return to report, right? At the end of every stack, it's what action are we going to take in the next 48 hours. It's important to take these things into account and apply the new lessons and make the course corrections officially, right? While we may have a revelation in a stack, we don't actually incorporate it. Well, we can incorporate it in the moment, but we should also incorporate it in our general's tent on a weekly basis. And as we once again as we reset our new target in the one thing, right? Every single week we're going to choose a one thing. I mean, there may be an occasion where we have to build on something that maybe one thing wasn't complete, and maybe take an approach at another angle. But generally, we're going to set a new one thing every single week. And once we do that, and as a byproduct of that, right, is we have to set our key fours, right? And again, once again, in all of this, we apply the lessons we've learned, right? The course corrections that we've deemed necessary, and based on the return reports that we've done earlier. So once again, when we reset the one thing, we also need to set the key four. There's instances where I've set a one thing, I've not reached the one thing because the key fours weren't on point, right? And it's still an important one thing, and I have to take another half at it the following week. But what really needs to change is the key four, and put those on target in these sub areas. Underneath that is not only what the key four is, but the why that's positioned where it is, why it's in the first, second, third, fourth, as we talked, why it's even necessary, and then we need to put a time frame to it. Sometimes I pick a key that's not on point uh, in a time that I suggest or expect it would be. I take the lessons learned, and I reassess the time, and I apply that in my new and my new keys. Um, so, in summary, uh, in setting our new targets, we need to incorporate, and that's not something we can do before we have, in fact, done our return report, applied the lessons learned, and done the course correction and incorporate the course correction that's required. Once again, our assignment is going to be to teach this. If you can't teach it, you don't know it. If you don't know it, you can't live it, along with the other items at the bottom of the page. I will see you tomorrow on day 59.